what happens is we do everything to interfere with the body being able to fix itself. That's what all kinds of interferences, whether it be our environment. That's why I talk about the environment. So what the cell does, what the pure wave cell does in its simplest form, when we put it in the beehives, the bees are constantly in contact with it. And what we're doing is we're building their immune system. Now, they're still subject to pesticide, they're subject to 5G, just like we are. Just like we are. But what it does is it strengthens them up enough that they can withstand it.
Welcome to the Mark Aperture Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. How is it going? Are you well? Let's talk about bees today. Bees. I've seen a lot of bees recently. Have you? In fact, my children were commenting about how many insects in general they've seen this year. But most of us know that the bee population has been drastically reduced over the last decade at least. And in fact, I was having a conversation with somebody this morning. I went to pick up some raw milk, which I have to drive over an hour to get, and because they don't want you to have it. Did you know that Lord Rothschild spoke to the House of Lords twice in his lifetime? The first time was about the Balfour Proclamation. Is proclamation? Might have that wrong. Declaration. And the second time was to talk about raw milk. And how important, this is in the 40s, I think, and how important it was that people stuck to pasteurized milk and not raw milk. And it's a similar story with the honey. You know, these things are hard to find. And the conversation I was having this morning was with a friend of mine who produces raw dairy products, which are critical and essential to the health of my family. I don't know about yours. And he said, I've just got 2 sets of bees delivered. And I went, let me guess, about 80,000. And he went, yeah, how do you know that? I said, because I used to have 80,000 African bees when I lived in Morocco. And that's how many you can get into one hive. 80,000. Did you know that? That's a lot of bees, right? And then I asked him a question. I said, well, how are you going to feed these bees during the winter? And he looked at me and I said, make sure you don't use sugar. He said, well, how else are you supposed to feed? You've got to have, you can't, because every beekeeper, almost every beekeeper in the world where the temperature isn't warm all year round, feeds bees with watered down sugar. Did you know that? And that screws up the honey massively. And I learned this from Ian Clark. When Ian Clark, if you have watched my show for a number of years, you'll know Ian Clark is my friend from Canada who runs Activation Products. He's going to come on the show next week and talk about something else he's doing. I'm pretty excited because I've not spoken to him for a while, but he actually visited us here in the west of Ireland about a year ago. And we went to see the place where I get my local honey from. And we had this conversation with the beekeeper there. And I didn't know this at the time. And the guy that I was talking to this morning, he didn't know it. So we were having a conversation about how do you get really good honey from bees? Because Ian will tell us next week, and I'll tell you now, you can live off honey. It is extraordinary. And this brought to mind this product here, which a good friend of mine, Dale, gave me in Ireland. You can see it here. It's called 4RB's Pure Wave. And this contains some very, very interesting technology. I want to say technology. It's actually quite simple, but I'm very pleased to have the guy that created this joining me today, Mr. Brent Knudson. Please say hello. How you doing, Brent?
Hi, how you doing, Mark? Good to be here.
Good to be here. I see what you did there.
Yeah. 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 Well, I thought I'd kick it off right, you know.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I never know what I'm going to say when I do an introduction, and then I'm talking about bees, and I'm like, hang on, I just had this whole conversation this morning with a guy who's just literally bought 2 hives to start making honey, and we had this whole conversation about the quality of honey And then suddenly I realized I knew quite a bit about it. And then I've helped steer him already. In fact, let me ask you, I mean, before you tell everybody who you are, do you know the answer to how to feed bees during the cold season with stuff that isn't going to affect the honey in a negative way?
Yeah, I do, because we have so many beekeepers with us. What they switch from is the really experienced beekeepers. They leave a percentage of honey, so they're actually
Mm.
feeding on what they're supposed to be feeding on, which is what they do, which is their food source, honey. But then there's a mixture of where there's a blend of honey and some other nutrients, and they'll leave that as well. And they'll sometimes it can be in cube or puck shape, but these are the beekeepers that are commercial, where their livelihoods depend on it, and where they've realized that they're trying to cut any kind of loss down, but more importantly, the quality of their honey. So that's what they do. That's how they do it, right? So,
Well, I know
and
I threw you in the deep end there because I didn't have a clue if you knew the answer to that or not. Because
yeah.
what the suggestion I came up with was, I said, if you use the honey that's come from bees that have had their food source cheated, then that won't be the best honey. So maybe raw sugar cane or something totally natural would be the right thing to do. In a country like Ireland, where it gets cold in the winter,
Hmm.
the bees don't have enough food naturally, and that's what they want. So it's fascinating to me because honey is so important. Yet it's everything in the supermarkets is a cheated version of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's three things that are adulterated like that. One is olive oil. Most olive oil has been messed with. That's one. And two is honey. Honey's a biggie, and then maple syrup here in Canada. So they mess a lot with those particular products. There's others, but that's the ones that really people are not getting what they're supposed to be getting by any means. So that is what you're referring to, and honey is something we're really serious about, because it comes from what we're doing with helping the bees and the beekeepers. So to really look after bees, you have to look after the beekeepers, because they control about 96% of all bees. So that's where we've attacked it and made sure that food sources, that's the key, where the bees are going and what they're feeding on, and those environments. So that's what we've been able to do. And then the health of the bees, they're that's something which we'll get into with the pure wave cell, that we've been able to do and provide to beekeepers. But yeah, this is what's given us this superior honey. And then not to heat it, keep it raw. So
Yeah.
we want to keep it in a raw state. um and we have it cream so it won't crystallize. People might notice that with some honeys that's liquid, if that it'll crystallize, and people don't like that. It's not really a problem, but people don't like it, and then they have to heat it to get rid of those crystals. In our particular case, we do a cream process onto it, so it's never heated, it's raw, and it will last. Actually, I have honey here from 3 years ago that's even better than 3 years ago. I mean, the way honey can age if it's not taken out of weird temperatures is amazing. It'll last for it really just does not spoil if it's handled properly. So it's a real god food scent to us. It really is.
Well, I was going to say it is the food of the gods, and of course you can put things like honey and milk into pyramids, and they'll never ever go off in a million
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we've dived straight in because I tend to do that. But
That's
I just tell the audience. So I was given this by a friend of mine called Dale, who came to visit the west of Ireland. And Dale's from, I think she'll tell me if I get it wrong, I think it's Las Vegas she's from. And I met her on the Truth Tour in 2022 in America. And she gave me one of these and said, Mark, you need to have this. And I got it. And it's actually not left the house. It's not left my side. In fact, it's generally not left my bed, and it goes traveling with me. And it's something that I've had near me because it's got a very good energy. But there's a story behind this, Brent. Do you want to tell the story behind this and talk about what is in this Pure Wave product and explain this to everyone? Because obviously it's sacred geometry. Obviously it's a hexagon. But
mm.
what is it? What does it do? And why are you here talking about it? And why have you got a poster of it behind you?
Right. Okay. No, that's great. Well, the fact that it's a hexagon on the outside is really, is really nothing to do with the inside of it, right? So we'll talk about that. But I'll just give a little bit of the background. So my background really is out of forensic mathematics. We're doing algorithms, and so my background in the 90s was coming out of moving digital money and creating all those sources for digital money being able to move around, which is all mathematics, and pretty much everything is mathematics or geometry. So that's where I was involved with. But what I noticed, this is what was amazing back then, even, Mark, is what I noticed is that those algorithms, everything started to tie to one thing. So you'd go to do one aspect maybe of moving money around, but then you go to do another aspect and you notice these similarities. And what that led me to was sacred geometry and in nature itself. So when we go into nature and we look at plants and flowers and honeycombs and everything, it's all similar as to what's being done on a shape basis or a geometric basis. So then I started to look into our form, into our religions, into our backgrounds as humans, and it was everywhere. It's in every religion. It's in every form of even corporate symbols. Look at the Walmart symbol. Look at Chrysler. It's all there. And what it did is it led me back. I'm speeding up with this, is it led back into this flower of life construct that we all are familiar with and some aren't familiar with. But this, and what it meant is that we were always looking at two-dimensional objects, really of a three-dimensional object, which is the atom and quantum physics itself, which is how everything is formed. So all of us are made of the same material. And I don't just mean living people and insects, but also inanimate objects, is that it's all made of the same material, which is the atom structures. It's just the frequencies that change everything. So once we start going down these paths, it led me into the biology at a cellular level. Let's take a look at a cell. Now, that is whether it's an insect, reptile, human, it makes no difference. At a cellular level, what happens is the first thing we all do when we go into mitosis from one cell, you, me, insects, reptiles, is it goes into that flower of life pattern, which is a blueprint as to how the cells respond energetically. So I could stop there. We could show a little bit, if you like, about the history of it. We have a little film that could help the audience understand a little bit when you want to do that. And then that'll lead us to where that development led us to the pure wave cell, which we could talk about next.
Fantastic. So I'll play a story we need to remember.
Right.
Okay,
and then we'll pick up after that.
Great.
To understand the principles of this technology, we need to first examine where we come from, where we are now, and where we are going. Our ancient ancestors possessed a profound knowledge that we are only coming to understand today. Throughout human history, in every time period, in every culture, in every major religion, one geometric shape has continuously been present throughout the ages: the star tetrahedron. This perfectly aligned six-pointed star has been discovered in almost every religious culture in human history. It's been found in the architecture and decor of ancient Christian churches, Jewish synagogues, and Islamic mosques. It has also been found in ancient civilizations and cultures throughout Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas. However, with all its references in ancient texts and artwork, the star tetrahedron was not often used as an exclusive symbol to represent any one religion or culture. Historically, the star tetrahedron was regarded more as a divine diagram with the potential to connect us to a higher power. A broader example of the star tetrahedron can be found in another symbol revered by the ancients: the flower of life. The star tetrahedron's six-pointed geometric shape is very prominent within the flower of life pattern, where its shape multiplies infinitely within it. These shapes were revered by the ancients as the symbols of the creation of energy and frequency, the blueprint of all matter, But in reality, these ancient symbols are actually two-dimensional representations of a three-dimensional object, the atom. The atom is one of the most important scientific discoveries in quantum physics. It is regarded by science as the building block of all physical matter, energy, and frequency. The atom contains a nucleus, which is made up of protons and neutrons. Electrons, through electromagnetic force, orbit the nucleus. This combination of geometry, magnetism, and motion creates frequency. Everything that exists in the universe, from solid objects to living organisms, contains this exact atomic material. The core denominator that makes one object different from another object is frequency. Frequency is the catalytic force that dictates the design of all the structures of matter in the universe. The atomic symbol is an exact representation of these principles, and so was the star tetrahedron in ancient times. In fact, looking a little closer around the nucleus of the atomic symbol, we see a familiar shape, the star tetrahedron. This is no coincidence. And it's no coincidence that the star tetrahedron's geometric pattern aligns perfectly with the electromagnetic structure of the atom. The ancients knew what science has only discovered within the last 100 years, that everything that exists in the universe, including all of us, is merely a combination of energy, frequency, and vibration, and that we are all intrinsically connected by it. The star tetrahedron and the flower of life are the geometric blueprints of this profound architecture. Today, the star tetrahedron and the flower of life pattern can actually be seen on a microscopic level through mitosis, the process of cell division and the creation of life. Humans begin as a single cell. That cell then multiplies into 2 cells, and these 2 cells then multiply into 4 cells, in a multiplication pattern that continues trillions of times over until we are formed. When observed through a microscope, we can see that this growth pattern is literally mirrored by the pattern of the star tetrahedron and the flower of life symbols, giving us further evidence that these geometric patterns represent the creative power of all matter. Furthermore, within each one of us, there are over 100 trillion cells, and within each cell, there are over 100 trillion atoms, all releasing powerful quantum energy. The astronomical amount of atoms in the body, all simultaneously releasing these quantum frequencies throughout every cell, creates a massive accumulated frequency that surrounds and flows throughout the body. This vibrational force is known universally as the torus field, and it surrounds everything in nature, as well as our entire planet. The Earth's torus field can actually be observed in the aurora borealis. The torus energy within our bodies is designed to symphonize with nature and the Earth's torus field. Frequency connects us to nature and the Earth in ways we could never have imagined. Our torus field is responsible for maintaining our health from a cellular level. 10 to 20 billion cells die every day, and an equal amount of cells are replaced by the body. The difference between people who rebuild healthy cells versus unhealthy cells is determined by what we are exposed to within our environment. If we are exposed to the harmonious energy fields of the Earth and nature, our bodies will continuously rebuild healthy cells. But if we are exposed to unnatural, non-harmonious frequencies, our bodies will rebuild unhealthy cells. Harmonious frequencies are the keystones of our health and well-being, and the electromagnetic force of the star tetrahedron and the flower of life pattern creates these harmonious frequencies that we now know are essential for life.
Beautiful. Was that your voice?
No, that was a voiceover we brought in to do to make it a little flow nice. So yeah, that
Nice.
wasn't my.
That's very nicely summed up, and it's interesting for me personally. The idea of sacred geometry didn't really come into my consciousness till about maybe 15, 16 years ago, and then I start. And once you understand it, you see it in everything, don't you?
Yes, absolutely everything. And what I was trying to capture there is what I realized, because it's everywhere. Then it was like, okay, because frequencies are coming and going and moving around, how do I capture the frequencies that the cells respond to, like that. There's at a point where they respond exactly to it, and it helps to build up the immune system and their strength. So it was, I realized I captured and we'll show that next with the pure wave cell. I captured, after exhausting attempts, the shape, the actual geometric form. But then the question became, Mark, how do I hold it? Like, in other words, how do I glue it and make it stay steady? And that was through another source, it became evident to me that I could use magnets to do that. The Earth magnetic fields and then the magnets is what I then then I searched out the strongest of magnets, which are neodymium magnets, because they'll lose their Gauss rate much less. Like a lower end magnet might lose it in a year or two, whereas a neodymium magnet will hold its Gauss out to 20 years. So it'll stay in full strength. So that disc, the pure wave cell that you have in your hand, that'll 10 years from now will just be as strong as it is now. So that was the case. And then I had to play with those magnets, which we'll show inside, to get the exact shape and the north and south configuration. So what happens is, when those magnets, quantum field, are when they're placed inside that cell, they want to come together like this. They'll snap your fingers off if you let them. So I won't let them come together. I've enforced them and glued them into that source, so the magnets are constantly doing this, and that's where the frequency comes from, right around there. And the cells respond to that hugely, because cells are like little batteries. That's what they are. They're like little batteries. And do you know, here's an interesting fact, that if your cells are less than 26%, you're very susceptible to all kinds of disease, but also cancers. If they're above 45, it's impossible for them to be affected by cancers and things like that, because they're charged up. And here's how we know. One of the only things that you never hear about, and even when people say it isn't, is heart cancer. There's no such thing as heart cancer. That's your highest electrical field. That's why. So what we want to do is do that to the rest of the body. So the body knows, right? And you know this, the body knows what to do. What happens is we do everything to interfere with the body being able to fix itself. That's what all kinds of interferences, whether it be our environment. That's why I talk about the environment. So what the cell does, what the pure wave cell does in its simplest form, when we put it in the beehives, the bees are constantly in contact with it. And what we're doing is we're building their immune system. Now, they're still subject to pesticide. They're subject to 5G, just like we are. But what it does is it strengthens them up enough that they can withstand it, that they can move through it. Just like us, if I have you in a huge immune system booster, you will ward off things that your neighbor or somebody else won't. So that's what we're doing, as well as the food sources. So that's what's really cool about what we went into. So when I was doing the studies with people, it was like, I started this back in late 2009, and started going down this path of taking the geometry into a magnetic force. I'm skipping ahead, but what happens is then people were responding. I built a building, which was called the Chrysalis building, which people can see on our site. You just have to go to where it says the mission, and you'll see the building, and it blocked out all interference, so I could do my research in there. And we got great, super results with people in different ways. And then we sent it to labs for food. So it's taking out pathogens and parasites out of food, which we'll show in the video coming up. And also the way that food spoils, we'll show that as well. But what I elected to do, that's great, super. And if you scroll up, you'll see it from the side. If you just scroll, there you go.
Yeah.
That whole building is built on sacred geometry and principles in itself. If you keep scrolling, we can show there we go. That's the magnets that I'm referring to for your audience. And the trick was to get that shape exactly right and then hold it. That was right. So, and then this is showing you from a liquid form as to how that frequency is coming out. This is actually what it looks like as it's dissipating through and out into, and its strongest force is within 1 foot around the disc mark, but then it dissipates out. So you want to keep it, within a 12-inch period to get the maximum from it. Or if it's under your pillow.
Well, that's why it's not left my bed.
No,
because we feel it, and it's like, this is literally not left my side. I mean, I've had this near me 8 hours a day for, I don't know, quite a few months now, and we could do a whole other show about sacred geometry, but I've already decided I'm going to go and take this down to my beekeeper friend and get a couple more and tell him I have the secret. I have the secret to your bees here.
Yeah, you should see the stories we get from the beekeepers. Like, we have so much in our studies, so that it's not if or maybe how this works. It works now in conjunction with food sources for the bees. But the reason I elected to go with the bees, and you'll appreciate this probably more than anybody, if I went to to go down the human path, humans are complicated, to say the least.
No shit.
But oh yeah, but what happens is, the more success I would get in there, the more kind of trouble and heat I get because of that complexity. The bees is straightforward. You go in, there's no
bees can't lie.
That's right, they can't lie. And what happens is, as I get these results, you know what happened? People were picking up on it, and so I don't have to make claims of saying, geez, if you have something that hurts in your leg, or you got this, or you're doing that. We know it reduces inflammation. We know that. We know that it helps with parasites and gut health, because we have practitioners that use it. We know that it's really good at confusing and blocking out other frequencies. We know that. That's why under your pillow, stuff like that. So the thing is that the audience can understand that this is really useful for them in many, many ways. And I can stop there if you'd like, and you could play the Pure Wave video, which would probably do way better than us talking about it, because
I don't know. I like chewing the fat with you because it's coming from. But we will play the video. But I just wanted to show you. I don't know if you know, but we've got a healing center here in the west of Ireland, and if you look at the logo, you'll see that is the flower of life, but that's the open flower of life.
Absolutely.
Right. And
yeah, that's great.
There's a little story behind that, because I initially wanted to use the classic flower of life, and then my partner Gary said, no, that's been hijacked. We need to do the open flower of life. And I looked into it, and I can't remember why, but I agreed. And I was actually saying to somebody just 2 hours ago on the street, I said, just having the flower of life open on a sign in the street is affecting the energy of the whole area. Just that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And fortunately, these people knew what I was talking about.
And I'm excited to talk with you later. Wait till you get into the actual constructs of buildings, like that. That chrysalis building. And I'm just going to touch.
You have no idea how much I want to be in that chrysalis building.
Oh no! It was, let me tell you. And I don't want to get off track. When I was developing on how this would come together and how it would work, because generally what you're in is a very creative force, so you don't have the answers, right? I could go in that building with what's called an intention to intention, right? So I'd go in with a very specific intention, and I'd put all my attention in that building because all distraction was gone, and I'd get in there and as I started to do it more and more, what happened, Mark, all of a sudden a shiver would come up the bottom of my back, just like that. And it was like a phone call went out, true manifestation. Within days, I would get a phone call, or somebody would show up, or there would be a contact exactly with what I needed. I mean, exactly what I needed, right? And I could start to manifest like crazy in there, because if we all have it, every one of us have it, but we have to have the distractions have to be eliminated. If we can get the distractions away from us and get focused, because people would say, well, Brent, what are you doing there? And I said, well, first of all, what do you want to do in there? What's your intent? What are you going in? What to do? Well, hey, you lost 8 out of 10 people right there, right? Because they had no no focus. But when you do start to get into have an intention, or you want something in your life, whatever that is, and you take away distraction, look out. It's guaranteed for all of us. It's just, this is where you can get into that kind of where the building and the geometric. You could go in there, people that had hearing aids, if I talked to you over here, that sound would come in here. Right, it would start to come in. So we played with we played with time definitions in there.
Ooh.
I also had fiber optics and colors, and we could, you and I'll play with that, and we can talk about what's going on. But it was mind blowing, is the results of what you can do on simple geometric building, right?
Yeah, well, it sounds simple, and throughout the chat so far, you've talked about these distractions, which is why I mentioned the raw milk at the beginning with the Rothschilds. It was so important to them to stop people having raw milk because of the benefits of it, and that is an incredible source of hydration as well. And apart from the nutrition and the probiotics, and because it's in the I was explaining to a friend of mine this morning, I said, you need to start, if you start drinking this, because when you're drinking pasteurized milk, you can't, your body can't access any of the good stuff that's in it, the casein, nothing. Right. So it's literally poison. And even though it's full of they can say, yes, it's got calcium in it, but you can't get to the calcium. And it's the same with same with the fake honey, same with the fake everything. So having a building like that, which I spoke to you a couple of months ago, and I'd really love to get more people building these things. I first stayed in a geodesic dome structure about 15 years ago, and there's a guy in the New Forest in England who built like a campsite with these geodesic domes around it, and it was my kids still talk about that holiday because they felt so good there, and it's subtle, this energy, but really what you're doing inside the building, like you're building a 5D space, really, aren't you?
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. On that note, just give me 1 second. Sure. I'll show you.
Sorry to interrupt the show, but I'm here in my car on a beautiful sunny day in lovely Ireland, and I just wanted to say to regular viewers of my show, you'll know that over the last 5 years I've tested probably over 1,000 different health products and modalities to try to get us through the COVID psyop, but also to help us enhance our longevity towards health sovereignty. Now, out of all the things that I've tested, there are a number of things that I use on a daily basis. And for the last 3 years, you will never see me without one of these on the back of my neck. I can't actually, if you can see it there, it's on the back of my neck. This is a LifeWave X39 patch. Well, this is actually not a patch. This is the sleeve that it comes in. This is an X39 patch, okay? This thing, you just stick on the back of your neck. And what it does is it reflects the light coming from inside your body back inside your body. So it reflects the light coming out of you back into you, but at a frequency that achieves a certain thing. They have a large range of patches that do different things, from helping you sleep better, to helping you recover from pain or from exercise pain. This one in particular, the X39, is my standard thing that I wear every day. And the reason for that is because this stimulates the production inside your body of copper peptides. And copper peptides in turn stimulate stem cells. Now, I am 56 this year, and I've got more energy than my teenage kids who I'm on the way to pick up. Why is that? Well, structured clean water is part of that. A mainly carnivore diet is part of that. I do have access to things like hyperbaric oxygen and red light therapy at our healing center at live5dhealth.com. But actually I don't use them very often because I'm a workaholic. But these patches have not left my neck since I first discovered them in 2022. And I am convinced that my eyesight is better, my teeth are stronger, my arthritis has disappeared, my hair is thicker and longer. Look, there's a ponytail here. Sex drive is better. So many things are better, and I'm convinced it's because of these. If you're not convinced by me, go to themarkatwoodshow.com and search under LifeWave or stem cells. You'll see that I've done numerous interviews with numerous people giving their testimonies about LifeWave patches from all over the world. So go and have a look at those if you're not convinced. I'm going to put some QR codes on the screen. One is for the LifeWave patches themselves, which you can go and get online immediately. They are not the cheapest thing in the world. I do think they're actually less than a cup of coffee a day if you wore one a day, but and I understand that doesn't stretch everybody's budget, but they also represent an amazing sovereign business opportunity. You can get paid for recommending these if you try the patches and you sign up to the other QR code, which is the business opportunity page. That will put you in touch with Cheryl. Cheryl works with me in the States, and she will talk you through the process and show you how to do it. All you've got to do is share a link and give your testimony. This is the way we bypass Google, we bypass press, national TV, mainstream media to grow this business, which is currently $1 billion business. It has grown leaps and bounds since 2020 because of the need of people like us who are awake, who want to sustain themselves and get through this time period so that we can get through to ascension in one piece. That's what it's all about. Freeze the video if you need to get onto the QR codes. Go to those links now. That's all for now. I hope you enjoy this message and you enjoy LifeWave, and I'll see you soon. Enjoy the show. Back to me in the studio.
Seriously, this feels so good.
I'll actually show you originally when I was going through there as to how this looked. So this was the original, if everybody can see it, that was the original design. Can you see that okay? Yeah? A little bit? So then what happened is then that got constructed inside in the next phase like that, and then ended up like that. If you can see that, okay. And that was literally showing you the development phase of going through and testing all the way those frequencies were working into there. There was no such building, so it took me, yeah, it was mind-blowing to go through it because there was no model, like there was no formula. So I just keep going through it. And then I'd play with it that I could refract light and sound in there. And then that started to create something. So I just went on a 5-year like tear of dropping out, which I'm jealous of now because I got back into doing something on this mission. I've been taken back and brought back into the fold, as you say, and you can appreciate it. But I had a 5-year where I dropped out and I was just knee deep in that. And it was mind blowing what was going on, you know, and I really had a hard decision whether I was going to come back and actually do something like bring it to the world, go back out and do what you and I are doing, or I would just stay lost in it. You know, it was really a decision that was hard to like I was like, I would like to have just stayed where I was because of what was going on, you know, and
I wouldn't have blamed you.
You know. What's that?
I wouldn't have blamed you.
Yeah, but then you know that it came and saying, hey, you've got to, you know, people say you've got to take it out, or you got to, you know, you're getting these results, you've got to do these things. And I thought, yeah, and I never thought at my age, you know, like now I'm, you know, I'm hitting 70 here now, that I didn't think that I'd be busier than my whole life. You know, my whole life I've been busy, but not like now. This, you know, this going out, and when I heard in 2015 what was happening with the bees, that's when I was first made aware of that. I go, well, you know what? That's the calling. I'm going to go out and do this and see if it works. And it was like, did it ever? And then it's like, okay, 3 years ago, we started For Our Bees to go out there and do this mission so that everybody, and thank you on having the cell, because what we do is when people come and do this with us, we provide those cells by the money coming in, we provide them for free to all the beekeepers. And it's really and thanking to the public, and they come every day and buy our honey, and that honey comes only from those hives that have the pure wave cells in it. And then I treat it with other magnetic frequency, which we can talk about if you watch the honey video, and you can see what we do that makes it like no other honey, right? So,
I definitely want to talk about that. I'll just explain to the viewers. Brent sent me some honey when I was not in Ireland, and it didn't get to me. So I haven't actually tried it yet, but I know there's some on the way, and I'm going to talk about that at a future date as well, because honey is, I said at the beginning, is critical to our health. Shall we play the video now on the cell itself?
Okay,
that
sounds good. That sounds good.
Do that, and then we'll come back and talk more.
Welcome to the world of inventions for energy medicine. I'm Bee Broda. According to the Canadian Association of Professional Apiculturists, Canada lost almost 50% of their bee population in 2022. Researchers at the University of Waterloo feel insecticides are compromising the bee's immune system. Dr. Magda Havis, Professor Emerita at Trent University School of the Environment, believes magnetic fields also play an important role in the health and wellness of the honeybee population.
We did some research at Trent University where we were studying the effects of radiofrequency radiation on the bees. We had some beehives at a farm and exposed them to current household items that we have that emit wireless radiation. One of the things we noticed is that the bees started coming out of the hive very, very quickly.
You look at their behavior, they're all just quite happily, they're not running around, they're kind of very settled, they're fanning, they're keeping the place cool and protecting, as these ones are running up and down at the entrance. The sounds here is not normal.
Dr. Havis is participating in a long-term research study on the use of geomagnetic fields to enhance insect and human immune systems and negate the effects of environmental pollution that may be causing the collapse of the honeybee population. This research is based upon a geometric array of 12 high-intensity magnets that are encased inside a hard enclosure to create a pure wave cell. The opposing polarities of the magnets create a spiral vortex that emanate outwards in all directions. This spiral pattern can be observed with magnetic viewing film. Liquid ferrofluid placed in a dish on top of the pure wave cell shows the invisible, evenly spaced magnetic lines rising upwards. This is an internal view of the magnets. A pure wave cell can be used to control the growth of pathogens. The vortex suppresses bacterial infestation. Spores grown in a petri dish that were not exposed to the magnet shows a proliferation of fungal growth. A study has been completed at Pathogenia Food Laboratories to determine the efficiency to reduce pathogens in food. Brewer's yeast, E. coli, Staphylococcus, and Listeria were added to meat and fruit and then treated for 5 minutes on the magnetic disc. Ground chicken and raspberries were chosen for inoculation. This study demonstrates 3 forms of Listeria were not reduced in the chicken, but showed almost a 50% reduction in the raspberries. Surprisingly, one form of brewer's yeast grew 50% faster in the meat, while another was reduced a similar amount in the fruit. The various forms of E. coli were eliminated in the raspberries. And all forms of Staphylococcus have been significantly reduced. When you immerse food inside a pure wave, there are many examples of how it can prolong the shelf life. Here, cauliflower remains fresh after several days, while unexposed control samples show signs of food spoilage. Research on honey is carried out here.
The first year we had 10 magnets and we were quite happy with it. Last fall we ended up with 30 magnets in the 1 bee yard.
In this yard here, there's about 30 hives. This yard did not get the discs. And when I came in to unpack the hives, half the yard was dead, and the half that survived, there were barely any bees, and they were not looking good at all. And now in this yard, we wintered 30 hives in here. All 30 got the magnetic disc. When I unpacked it, all 30 were alive and overflowing with bees to the point where I had to split almost every hive in this yard. But it's swarming because they've run out of room. Like, it's just a super strong hive.
Dr. Havis feels that the magnets are improving the immune system of the honeybee as they move through the pure wave magnetic field while foraging for nectar in the farms and forest. Many beekeepers have great success with the magnets, not only having a healthy hive, but they have found an increase in the yield of honey. Education plays an important role with the company that produces the magnets. They organize workshops called 4R Bees to teach a new generation of potential beekeepers how to plant wildflower seeds in open pastures to help support the health and wellness of our insect pollinators. For more information on how you can help save the bees, visit 4rbees.com.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And yeah, how did you find that woman to present that? Because her name is
that's and her name is Bee Broda. That's that actually, yeah, no, it's amazing because it's a gentleman by the name of Bob Conley. Are you familiar with Bob Conley?
No.
Oh, he's a good friend of Ian's. And so a good friend of his is B. Brody, that would do infomercials and different things as a presenter. So he had her come in and do the intro. He has his own studio, so that's, and her name is B. Broda. That's
I know.
her.
I know. I thought that was quite amusing.
I know. I know. It's and by the way, that bee study that they're talking into there with Magda Havas, that took 3 years. That was completed last fall because that we did that film. So for the audience to know, that 3-year bee study is complete. And if you look up Magda Havas, she is a specialist in 5G and well known. There's tons of information. She's an independent gal that Dr. Havas is well recognized into the frequencies of 5Gs, what's going on, her studies. Yeah. So that's who she was really gracious enough to take that 3-year study. That it's a non-paid for study. She has no connection to 4RBs. We became friends through it. It was enjoyable to meet her. But anyway, that study is done, and that's on our website under research. If you want to go and read the 3-year study that's been finished, that is now completed, and that's on the 4RB's website. So I just wanted to say that because in the video, it wasn't completed at that time.
No, that's brilliant. And you guys watching, you'll see that if you go and look up Magda, you'll see that one of her research interests is PEMF therapy, which is why we have PEMF therapy at Live 5D Health. And I've done a lot of shows on PEMF therapy. If you want to look those up, go to themarkoutwoodshow.com and search under PEMF. Yeah, well, this is all part of the education that is, and you've done amazing work, Brent. I mean, it's extremely incredible that you did come out of that 5-year spell to do this. I mean, obviously, it's a calling. And do you know what I love about it the most is that people buy these and then you give them to the beekeepers.
Yeah. They're actually, I always thought that really, there's a couple, remember we went through all the anxiety and depression and stuff. And I used to always, because I felt this way myself, is we all want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And that takes us out of that depression because we're so closed in and so self-focused that by people doing this is they're part of the solutions as opposed to constantly hearing problems. We're doing this. And by doing that, they can see that they're part of that. And so that has really given me a lot of pleasure and a lot of purpose. And I think I'm so grateful to everybody that for them participating because they're really, as we need them to get that done, and they're all part of it. And we now have thousands of people that are part of it. And we now have beekeepers in Norway and Europe and Africa and in the States and in Canada. So it's a world thing. And we're excited to carry on.
No, it's amazing. I'm just going to share this site with people because you guys watching will have noticed that if you do go to 4rbs.com, you can use my name, Mark Atwood, for a 20% discount. I think it is.
Yes, it is, and that's, we wanted to do that for your audience, Mark, is to give back to where if they use your code, they will get 20% off all the products.
Yeah, which is, and how does somebody become like an ambassador? You know, like that group of people there that were hanging around.
Yes, if you go to our site,
Yeah,
it's right there under
get
I forget
involved.
what the kind of, yes, get involved. If that's where you go, get involved and we have to date, like, we're almost approaching 1,000 ambassadors, so it's growing all the time. And what was so exciting is that I remember when we were doing some of those teaching for small children about bees and so forth, and I went out and one of this little girl who was about 6 years old, she came up and said, "You're going to teach us about, I understand you're doing something about the bees and everything." And I said, "Yeah, no. What we're doing is we're out there and we're helping build and help the bees." And then she stopped me and she lectured me for 5 minutes on how important that was. A little 6-year-old was telling me how very important that was, and that just blew my mind, because
Oh,
that was in her, you know.
well, I'd love to get kids. I mean, I'm gonna get my kids up to this new bee. My friend has just taken on all these bees, and I'll get them all up there. This will be interesting. I might film it actually, because it'd be
Oh, I'd
interesting,
love
because
that.
he's just bought these bees, and I know that we were having a conversation about the food. I'm going to tell him about this. I'm going to take this up to him, and then if we could find a way of measuring things, that'd be fun. But it's a
Yeah,
beautiful synergistic kind of approach to the whole thing, and it's spreading. I just love it. It's just a beautiful solution. No wonder you were called to come out of 5 years of bliss.
oh yeah, no, and it definitely is way outside. Like, I would have never guessed to be, at this stage, this busy. But it is a labor of love, but it's a lot of go, as you know what you're doing too. There's a lot of, you're called upon to do a lot, and I'd like to work with you in the future. We could do some projects together, because I've got some ideas, especially next year, because we're ready to do mission driven, where we'll go out and this is worldwide, so we can start, because in Kenya they're starting to feed the village because of it, so we can make big changes, which I would be excited to work with you on that.
100%, and this is right up our street, as they say. But it starts one person at a time, which is why we're doing interviews like this, because and I should have done this a year ago, but I've had a crazy year, like a lot of people. But it's nice to finally get around to it. I'm aware that we're nearly coming up. We've got about 10 minutes left. Where do you want to cover? What do you want to cover next, Brent?
Well, I was going to say too, also, because of some of this that you've mentioned of what you're doing. Um, and maybe you can fill me in a bit more, but it was more community, the way you're setting up different, you're organizing in kind of group organizings of different ways of, and you can correct me, but that's what I'm understanding, that you're doing a lot more of that kind of thing. But if you want to go down this path of some of these type of constructs and buildings, and how that you really can get into manifestation, we can get into that down the road when we have time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that ground I've covered for, that took me years to cover, and it's so that blueprint or that recipe is already available, which would be way easier for you.
The when you were in the building and making that, but did you make a film of that process?
Yeah. I have where I've gone from the outside and in, and showing what it looked like inside and something. Yeah, I have that. Yeah. And it's and then I'll give you some other pictures, because you're going to love it. That right ingrained into the floor was the star tetrahedron with all the 12 points. And what I did on that, Mark, is I actually formulated a crystal pyramid, 2-inch crystal pyramids, inverted it so that the point was down. So each point on that star tetrahedron had this crystal pyramid going down, and then I attached to the point so picture a pyramid inverted. I put a fiber optics to the light that went through it, and so it beamed right through that star tetrahedron in the building, and I can construct all kinds of light constructions, so that I could do like I did all the chakra colors in perfect form, where I could get into doing you know, when you get into melatonin and serotonin issues, you know, people that were having those, I could construct those lights that it would change what was going on there. And then the sound was unbelievable. I had the people that put the sound in that were the people that did all the, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the band, the Rush rock
Oh,
band.
yeah.
So the people, Robbie, who was doing all the sound from that, he specialized doing all the sound in the building, right? So you could take a sound vibration where it would come into and it would lift you. You know, it was just it was an incredible, you know, experiences and as I said, I got 5 years of going down that path, right?
No, it's amazing. And I was wondering whether has this been applied in a healing sensor type environment before?
Well, more that I thought how I could define it best. So the food labs, yes. So the food labs, and then of course what it's doing with the bees. I haven't done. We haven't gone and done any like lab testing or whatever specifics to the Pure Wave cell. But we have so many people that are using it and animals as well, like incredible. Like we just, I'll give you an example. We had a gal that contacted us from New Mexico that she does sparrow rescue and bird rescue and all of this kind of thing. And she contacted us because she was interested in about the cell, and we sent her 4 or 5 of them and so forth. And then so for the last 6 months, she's been using the cell with the birds, and the results are crazy, which we're gonna release the end of the month. She's doing all the filming and so forth of that. So we have a lot of that with the Pure Wave cell of just from people, animals, testimonials, because I already know what the frequency is doing. So it ties to answer your question, it ties back to the PEMF, where I'm dealing with that 7 hertz to 10 hertz in that PMF format, and that's basically the research that's been done. If in other words, if you capture that frequency, then you can utilize that research, just like on the PMF mats, right? That's how that works.
Yeah, because I was just wondering if you could, you know, when Wilhelm Reich was working in the 50s and he created the orgone accumulator chamber, and people sat, you know about that, and people would sit in it.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things that I've been trying to get. I've got the plans to build one of those, but I was looking at the design, and I thought the problem with that design is that he built a box, and then you've got corners, and obviously entities could go into corners, and when you're messing with the ether and other dimensions, you've got an issue there.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking whether we could build a chamber with lots of these in for people to sit in. Has anyone done that? Would that work?
Actually, so if you go to the honey video on our site, so go to the site, where go to our website, and then you go to where if you click on the shop, you'll see like the honey, and you click on the honey, you'll see there's a video about the honey. I have an instrument that I developed called the Chrysalis E, which is it's cylinder in like this. It has 310 of those magnets, and I have them in motion that I'm able to construct whatever frequencies I want. So if you, let's say, go to the Pure, maybe I'm going to say click on the honey, one of the honey jars. Yeah, click on that. No, that's just for sale. Wait, scroll down. Maybe there's a video on it. Just a second. There should be a video on there. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now, we're going to shoot ahead, though. We're not going to watch. Okay, so you watch that later. You're going to shoot ahead to on that video, on the video itself. Just speed it up, because I'm going to take you to that instrument. Okay. So go about 3/4 to that video.
About here.
There you go. Okay, so now this, with treating the honey, just click in there.
A vial of honey is placed on the energizer. The corona discharge shows the amount of electrical conductivity of the raw honey. After energization, the entire content of the vial has become more conductive to electron flow.
So that's what we actually do to the honey, but it's going to show you in a section what that looks like, what that actual instrument looks like. It
just a bit further on, is it?
Let me see if it's further on or it might be before. Just go a little bit ahead and we'll take a peek here because I can't remember if it's ahead. Just keep. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Start there. Wait. It is. Yeah. There. Okay. There's a picture of it over beside me there. But go. I think if you go even before with what we were doing, it'll show you that machine in motion. That's how we treat the honey. Yeah. Maybe try there. Try it right there.
It's not showing
And
anything.
click it in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Come on.
Will it play? Yeah.
No, because I've gone backwards. It's just confused.
Oh, okay. But take a look.
As it rotates inside the three-cylinder
instrument is the key. That's what you were just talking about. I developed that instrument that you sit around that instrument. I used to put it in the building. That's radiating the PEMF frequencies. I can capture whatever I want there on a magnetic flow. That's what that is.
The field intensity increases proportionally with the frequency that is selected. Years of research went into.
Oh, that is cool. So you guys, you know where to find that on the website. Go and have a look at that.
Yeah. So anyway, you take a look at that, and we can talk about that's an environmental that can be done where you just sit around and you can't believe what that does to you. You know, allergies will go away. You know,
what kind of distance for something like that?
It's measured up to 200 feet, but the best results are within 4 or 5 feet, right? And all you have to do is sit around or sleep by it. People used to come into the dome, the Christmas, and sleep with that instrument going. And I used to do it 4 or 5 times a week, and it will alter what's going on with you. It just super builds up your cells. And then what happens is ailments go away simply because the body's fixing itself. That's what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Is your building still open for people to come to?
Yeah. Well, what I did is the property that I built it on, because this is going back 10 years ago. During COVID, I had a gentleman come and gave me an obscene offer on, because I had 2 acres. I was on the water, so I sold it, but I still have access to it. You know, if somebody wants to see it, right? So.
An obscene offer.
So I need to go with someone else and build another one. And I thought it needs to be spread out. It was all just in my own, in my own world, right?
You need to build it in Ireland. That's what you need to do.
I need to do that. I need to come to Ireland and visit you.
You wouldn't believe the real estate prices here.
Is that right? Yeah.
You would. Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's gone up, but you can still get a plot of land and put something like that on there. And
I like the sound of that. But
we get people coming from all over the world.
But even now, I know because I've gone through it, I can even make it grander. You know, it can be something. Because it's not just the building; it was the technology that was in it that was really doing the trick, right?
No, I love it. I love it, and it's great to take all that knowledge and create something so humble and practical and literally. Yeah. So you guys should be eating energized honey. How much honey do you eat a week, Brent?
I have a minimum a major tablespoon full of honey a day. And I eat it. You wouldn't put that honey in tea or hot water, not that honey, because it'll break down. But what you want to do is eat it. You want to eat that honey or put it on something and eat it. But I have at least a tablespoon a day, of honey. Yeah. Every day.
You're going to be around for a few more 100 years then.
Well, listen. Yeah. Listen, I'm enjoying the process of what we're doing, but it is sometimes taxing, right? Just to get, because there's just so many places you're wanting to be. But I would love to know about Ireland over there or different things you were doing, and I would love down the road, maybe when I'm a little less busy, which in a year or so I could be, and because other people will take up the slack and build something like that again to another level. I look forward to those days.
Well, we built a healing center here. We started it 2 years ago. We've put things in there like somatids into the wall, which emit chi energy. So just being in the space emits chi energy. We've got a thing called the Orinoco, which is based on the work of M.T. Kesh, Who you heard of him? The Iranian nuclear
No.
He open sourced this stuff, and it creates an energy field. Most people don't know what this stuff is, but it's there. The people that do understand it, they come, and then we do regular talks and educational things, and it's an interesting place to do it because we're in the middle of an agricultural town in the west of Ireland. We've currently got people there from all over the world today, actually. So
nice.
And having, I want to get these in the place for people to purchase there, and also to try them out. And you might actually get people to sit on these when they're doing certain treatments and things. But,
absolutely sit on them. And do you have any pets? Make sure your pets sleep with them too, and you'd be amazed what happens.
No, I've got a gorgeous cat called Midnight who's always seeking it out.
Oh yeah. That's not unusual. That's not unusual at all.
Yeah, and I think it's fantastic, and I really appreciate the time today. And I know that I have actually rearranged this a couple of times, so I do owe Brent an apology for that. But I'm glad we finally got there. And you guys, I'm going to put the link to ourbees.com. Mark Outward, one word. That's 25 discount. Support this. If you're in Ireland actually, and you want to get together and help us make this film about the bees, that could be interesting. Come to the Healing Centre and let us know. But thanks for your time today, Brent.
Listen, hey, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and thanks to Lisa for organising it, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Are you looking for amazing retreats in Ireland? Let us help you become the best version of you in a matter of days. Ireland is a wonderful place to retreat from the world and find some inner peace. It is a deeply historic and spiritual country, and nothing can inspire the soul more than the stunning west of Ireland. We have chosen the historic town of Boyle in County Roscommon to build our state-of-the-art clinic, Live 5D Health, nestled along the beautiful Boyle River. Our centre combines a range of therapies that cannot be found under one roof anywhere else in Ireland. These therapies need to be experienced on a daily basis over a number of days to truly feel the incredible, powerful effects. So we have put together a fabulous package for people from across the world who are looking to truly reinvigorate their health and mental well-being. Full details of itineraries, dates and costs can be found when you join our retreats email waiting list on live5dhealth.com. Our total wellness retreats use the stunning Frybrook House, only a 2-minute walk across the bridge from our centre, as your base for a range of daily therapies in our EMF protected and energetically harmonious centre.
Our activities and therapies include a wide range of truly healthy breakfast, lunch and dinner options provided by Frybrook House and Boyle's best chefs, under our strict guidance on the provenance of ingredients and their nutritional value.
A daily morning yoga session.
Red light therapy in the most advanced red light bed in Ireland to activate the mitochondria in your cells, help weight loss, reverse aging, stimulate collagen and relax every cell.
Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy to harmonize your electromagnetic field, strengthen your cell walls and stimulate circulation and healing.
Hyperbaric oxygen therapy or exercise with oxygen therapy to detoxify and feed your cells with this essential healing nutrient on a level you've never experienced before.
A session in our luxury sauna overlooking the Boyle River.
The world's cleanest water steam room. Our water is vigorously cleaned and harmonized with nature.
Immersive light and sound therapies, including the only Roxiva and soundbed combination in Ireland, aided by the only holographic sound system in Ireland. Has to be experienced to be believed.
Quantum healing in our Orinoco Healing Pod. Profound spiritual experiences await you here, especially if you are an experienced meditator, but also amazing if you are not.
Daily hydrogen and Brown's gas sessions to help your body rejuvenate itself with the fundamental building blocks of the universe.
Provision of clean, structured and mineralized hydrogen water for you to consume throughout the retreat, with the inclusion of a hamper containing our best supplements.
A final light dinner with our founders, Mark Atwood and Gary Keeley, and the Live 5D team at a stunning Irish castle.
These treatments are all well-established foundations, especially if you are chronically ill
or just want to enhance your being and give your body and soul the best treat you could possibly give it.
There is a lot of information on our website about all of them, so we do encourage you to look around and do your own research on the benefits before applying to come on a retreat with us.
They are also cumulative. That is, if you experience them over multiple days, the effects are enhanced.
Of course, we're not only offering these incredible therapies on our retreats.
We want you to have a fully immersive Irish experience as we are nestled in and amongst some of the most incredible sacred sites and landscapes on Earth.
Many know of Ireland's mystical past, being connected to Egypt, Atlantis and Lemuria.
And our centre is only a few minutes from the wild Atlantic coast,
Queen Maeg's tomb,
the mystical and powerful Carrickeel,
and the caves of Kesh, among many other places of great interest.
We will make excursions to many of these on your visit, as well as a choice from some of these local delights.
A seaweed bath in the coastal town of Inishgrone. Built in 1912, these traditional seaweed baths are famous for their high concentration of iodine, which relieves all sorts of ailments from arthritis to rheumatism.
A seaside sauna and sea swim at Ross's Point. Our sauna is fabulous, but we will also take you to the charming and picturesque town of Ross's Point, where you will be able to swim safely in the sea, set against the spectacular backdrop of Benbulben.
A stunning canoe trip along the rivers of County Sligo. Very gentle exercise where you will see how the rivers of Ireland can be like the rivers of Africa, with the almost guaranteed inclusion of kingfishers.
A flight in a light aircraft across the township of Boyle, where you will experience the local lakes and mountains from a unique perspective.
A boat tour of Lough Key, our local lake which features multiple islands, a castle in the lake frequented by W.B. Yeats, an alleged interdimensional portal, and many tales of UFO sightings. Trips to the local organic markets and farms, a traditional Irish music evening in a thatched pub, a lunch boat tour on the mighty River Shannon. Our retreats run throughout the seasons of the year and are strictly limited in numbers.
So please fill out the form on live5dhealth.com today and get on the waiting list.